When we talk about intelligence analysis in workplace investigations, we're really talking about the smart, deliberate way we gather and make sense of information. It's not just collecting documents or interviewing people. It's the logical, structured process of pulling information together so we can build evidence and actually solve a problem. And here's an important distinction. Intelligence isn't the same as formal evidence. Evidence has strict rules around admissibility. Intelligence is more like the strategic foundation that helps us spot red flags, figure out where to focus, and understand what might be driving someone's behavior. It's the thinking work that guides the investigation before we get into the formal proof. So let's break this down. First, the core purpose. Intelligence analysis is different from raw information gathering because it's analytical. We're not just collecting data, we're evaluating it, asking what matters, what doesn't, and how it connects to the incident. This helps us decide where to focus our efforts. Without this step, investigations turn into fishing expeditions, and that wastes time, money, and credibility. Sometimes we even use what's called speculative intelligence. That's when we build a profile to understand someone's mindset, their level of desperation, or their motivation. It's not evidence, it's a thinking tool that helps us anticipate behavior and plan our approach. And here's a key point. Information from confidential sources is usually treated as intelligence, not evidence. We don't rely on it directly in our findings because that might require revealing the source. Instead, we use it to engineer alternative investigative paths that lead us to clean, primary evidence we can rely on. Now, intelligence analysis also plays a huge role in fact-finding. It turns what could be a messy, disorganized process into a structured search for the truth. Analysts use intelligence to find hidden links, unexpected patterns, and relationships that aren't obvious at first glance. It also supports hypothesis testing, building multiple working theories and slowly narrowing them down until the most likely explanation remains. And in some cases, intelligence helps us dig into business relationships, like questionable vendors or conflict of interest situations. Intelligence is equally important for risk assessment. One of its main purposes is to turn unknown threats into known threats. By analyzing information, we can identify where internal controls failed, how an offender exploited a weakness, and what needs to be fixed to prevent it from happening again. In cases involving potential violence, intelligence helps us assess dangerousness by looking at criminal history, public filings, online behavior, anything that helps us predict risk. Organizations also use intelligence to decide whether a case is serious enough to bring in external investigators. Finally, intelligence analysis supports defensible decision-making. It helps us reach conclusions that can stand up to legal scrutiny, public scrutiny, and internal review. When decisions are based on structured analysis, the organization can demonstrate good faith, meaning even if a court later disagrees, the investigation was reasonable and defensible. A good decision log is part of this. It documents the investigator's thought process, why certain steps were taken, why others weren't, and how conclusions were reached. And intelligence analysis helps us build fallback options, so even if a subject denies everything, the corroborated information gives decision-makers the confidence to make tough calls. One last point. Intelligence analysis reminds us that the person who gathers the facts shouldn't be the same person who makes the final decision. Separating those roles prevents bias and avoids the kind of tunnel vision that happens when someone becomes too attached to their own theory. So that's the essence of intelligence analysis in workplace investigations. It's the structured thinking that turns information into insight, supports risk management, and helps organizations make decisions that are fair, defensible, and grounded in evidence.